There's a new wave of weight loss injections that are, well, pretty much everywhere. Everyone's talking about them, and a lot of people are calling them a miracle. But these so-called skinny jabs have one huge unanswered question hanging over them, and we're going to get into it right now.
You know, for decades, it's been the ultimate dream in dieting, right? Some kind of pill or drug that just makes you lose weight without all the struggle. And for millions of people, it really feels like that dream is finally here.
And there it is. That's the billion-dollar question. These drugs can be absolutely life-changing, for sure. But does taking them mean you can never, ever get off them? Let's break it down.
Okay, so first up, let's just talk about why these injections have completely blown up. I mean, from Hollywood celebrities to your own social media feed, you literally cannot escape them.
The scale here is just staggering. In the UK alone, it's estimated that 1.5 million people are on these injections. That's more than 2% of the entire population. And honestly, experts think that number is only going to climb.
And this chart really shows you why the demand is so massive. In England, almost 2/3 of adults are considered either overweight or obese. So what you have is this perfect storm of real, genuine health concerns mixed with all the societal pressure we feel to look a certain way.
And look, for so many people, the results feel incredible. You hear users say they've finally got the body they never ever thought was possible for them. That is an unbelievably powerful feeling. But as we're about to see, that dream can come with some pretty serious trade-offs.
So, how do these things actually work their magic? Well, the drugs are called GLP-1s, and the science behind them is actually pretty straightforward.
Basically, they copy a hormone your body naturally makes when you eat. And this does 3 really key things. It helps manage your blood sugar, it slows down how fast food leaves your stomach so you feel fuller for longer, and this is the big one, it talks to your brain and just quiets down your appetite and what a lot of people call food noise.
But of course, this miracle isn't always so simple. It turns out there's a pretty big hidden price tag, and I mean that both financially and physically.
If you're paying for them yourself, these drugs can be incredibly expensive. This quote from a doctor just shows the desperate lengths people are willing to go to, selling things from their own homes just to be able to afford the next dose. It's wild.
And then you've got the physical side effects. Things like constant nausea and headaches are pretty common, but some people report really distressing things like hair loss. And in some rare cases, the side effects can get really serious, like pancreatitis.
So this brings us right to the heart of it. What actually happens when you hit your goal weight? Or you just can't afford it anymore, and you decide to stop taking the jobs?
Okay, to really get what it's like to come off these drugs, you first have to understand this idea of food noise. It's that constant, nagging chatter in your head about food. What to eat next, did you eat too much, all of it. The medication makes it go silent, but when you stop, it comes roaring back. And this quote just captures that feeling perfectly. It's not like your hunger just slowly creeps back up. People describe it as a total tsunami of appetite that just hits them, a feeling they haven't had to deal with for months, maybe even years. And all that returning hunger? Well, it usually leads to weight regain. In fact, studies suggest that the vast majority of people, we're talking somewhere between 60 and 80%, will regain most of the weight they lost, all within 1 to 3 years of stopping.
So why? Why does this happen? Well, one of the main explanations is something called the set point theory. The idea is that your body has a sort of internal thermostat for your weight, a range it thinks is normal. When you lose a lot of weight quickly, your body kind of freaks out and fights like crazy to get back to what it knows.
So this whole rebound thing creates a huge dilemma, right? If stopping just means you'll probably regain all the weight, does that mean you have to stay on the drug forever?
For a lot of people, the answer is yeah. The idea of going back to how they felt before is way scarier than the idea of taking a medication for the rest of their lives. For them, staying on it isn't a problem, it's a huge relief. But it's often this really weird paradox. This user just sums it up perfectly. The thought of depending on a drug forever is terrifying, but at the same time, the idea of being slim forever is just so exciting.
And a massive piece of this puzzle is psychological. It goes beyond the number on the scale. People talk about feeling addicted to the control the medication gives them. For maybe the first time in their lives, they feel in control of their appetite and their body, and they are terrified of losing that feeling.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. With these drugs getting more and more popular, what does it all mean for us as a society? And what are the big question marks that are still out there? Well, the honest truth is, because these drugs are so new for weight loss, there's a lot we just don't know yet. We don't have the long-term data. Scientists are still figuring out what being on these drugs for decades might do to organs like your pancreas, kidneys, or gallbladder.
And that's exactly why you hear so many health experts stressing this one point over and over again. These injections are not a cure. They are an incredibly powerful tool that can give you the breathing room to make the big lifestyle changes with food and exercise that you need to actually maintain the weight loss.
Which leaves us with this final, really tricky question. Look, there's no doubt these drugs are a massive medical breakthrough for obesity. But as they become more and more common, we have to ask ourselves, are we using them as the powerful tool they're meant to be? Or are they becoming a kind of societal crutch, letting us avoid the much harder conversations about public health? That's something we're all going to be grappling with for a long, long time.